Was there ever a moment in your life where you watched something for the very first time and were left with nothing but confusion at the end? Constantly questioning yourself on how and why this came to be in the first place? To the point where you almost felt like you're on the brink of losing your mind, no matter how many times you try to forget about the craziness you just witnessed in front of you? Well, that's basically the best way for me to describe my experience watching Teen Star Academy. A movie that was released in the late 2010s that I can best describe as a visual representation of colorful and messy scribbles that have been plastered onto your well-painted wall. There's truly no other movie that has made me this flabbergasted at its existence, and that's saying an awful lot. So, how did I, Kirby, come across this dumpster fire of a film? What did I think of it when I first watched it? And, most importantly, what do I think of it now? Well then, that's what this review is going to try to answer, to say the least. So if all that's out of the way, let's get this show on the road! The story of how I got into this mess goes as far back as the summer of 2022, where I, my mom, and one of our neighbors were browsing around our local Dollar Tree to see what items we should bang our bucks on. Out of curiosity, I decided to get 2 DVDs, the first being the 2013 British film The Love Punch, and the other being Teen Star Academy. The moment I got home, I immediately booted up my DVD player to give both films a watch, starting off with The Love Punch first. And from what I can remember, simply judging from the title alone, I expected it to be some generic rom-com that'll most likely bore me to death throughout, but ended up actually enjoying it. What a surprise. And then I watched Teen Star Academy. And oh boy, was it quite the tonal shift to witness from start to finish, especially for a first-time experience. Trust me when I say that you will most likely get lost in the sauce when attempting to stomach anything from this film for yourself, cause that's basically what I got out of it for the time. Now, you might be wondering what the plot of the film is actually about. Well, trust me when I say that it is much simpler than what I'm about to bring up later on. A bunch of young kids and teens participate in the poor man's America's Got Talent or American Idol, whichever came first, to see if any of their dreams will ever get the chance to come true, all the while separated into 2 teams. Across this journey, the kids take on a role that's been chosen by the staff, including dancers, models, and musicians. Also, a good chunk of the film takes place on a beach for some unholy reason. Okay, let's get the super obvious out of the way first, and that this film fucking sucks! I am not kidding when I say that this is one of the biggest messes I've ever bothered witnessing in all my years of living on God's green earth, even upon rewatching for this review alone. Easily the biggest issue that I've had with this film since day one is how this whole shebang is executed, as a majority of the plot that we're supposed to follow is completely overshadowed by a bunch of pointless, long, and dragged out sequences involving the characters dancing to music, most of which is provided by DJ Felix, who is featured as one of the film's major characters.
Check. Felix, does your microphone work?
Of course it works.
As a fellow enjoyer of electronic dance music and happycore myself, I'm gonna be completely honest and say that some of the music featured is a bit too generic and nothing burger-esque for my liking. No offense. Probably the worst of these music-heavy sequences is with the kids performing their auditions within the academy. Like, there's so many cuts and camera angles in this montage, it's not even funny! Around 85 to 90% of this movie is like this. It's like an extended version of the random dancing segments from iCarly. Keep in mind that what I just described to you so far is only the tip of the iceberg, as everything else this film had to offer is no better. For example, the acting.
Guys, I can't wait for this any longer. When are they letting us in?
It's that bad, especially with the adult characters.
Well, she's not that bad.
Yes, she has to improve her scenic presence, but she's good.
The only exception to this is with Brett Roberts, who plays as a French guy that tries to prevent the beach from getting trashed by a bunch of naughty kids. He's the only good thing to come out of Teen Star Academy in my personal opinion. Changed my mind. And let us not forget how pointless some of the smaller plot points in this film are. Like, Why should I care about this rival gang that first appeared nearly 20 minutes in? Why should I care about the occasional romance stuff that barely goes anywhere? Why should I care about this one character that we don't see for the rest of the film's runtime, mind you, who apparently owns a yellow car? Why should I care about any of this? What is even the point? The movie gives you barely any time to get invested into any of this because of how hard it tries to cram this stuff in less than 5 minutes, thinking you'll immediately be convinced that any of this makes sense in any form or capacity. Not to mention that a good chunk of this shit is greatly spread out between the story and the out-of-nowhere music montages.
Oh my gamut, it's a young Fred Ficklehorn! Oh my gamut, it's Weezer!
Speaking of plot points I could give less of a shit about, another occasional occurrence that happens in the film involves a dog, and get this, almost every time he appears on screen, he makes a fart sound.
Look good. Whoa. What is it with this dog?
That'll keep the toddlers entertained and invested in the film, but there's a twist to this.
Nuts. A plot twist.
Because early on in the end credits for this glorified film reel, we later on find out that the fart sounds aren't coming from the dog, they're coming from a button that one of the naughty kids uses.
That's it?
Wowee! Ain't that something? It's almost as if the people responsible for this garbage wanted to make this the most clever fart joke in the history of cinema, in a movie that is in no way clever whatsoever. How many drafts did this film go through during development where this, of all things, was given the official seal of approval? Great job, movie! I'm sure some snobby Reddit binging bot account out in the wild appreciates this plot twist as much as you did. 'Cause I sure didn't! We'll be right back to more of the madness after this. Teen Star Academy is written by two Italians, Francesco Malavenda, who passed away in 2021, and Enrico Pinocchi, with the addition of being produced by a British production company called Movie On Pictures, who, mind you, placed their logo at the very start of the film twice! I'm not kidding when I say that out loud. And given that English isn't the writer's first language, this could explain why the dialogue that the character speaks sometimes comes across as weird and off-putting.
You know, I have a little brother, and he's really gifted. He dances and sings like Michael Jackson.
Why am I bringing these guys up, you may ask? Well, if you look at both their IMDb pages respectively, you'll notice that a good chunk of their filmography is just as not so well received as Teen Star Academy's, with a few more up-and-coming films from Pinocchi being developed on the way as we speak. Meaning either they don't give a shit about how their final product turns out in the end, or they're just simply doing this on purpose to please the bargain bin gods! I'm not sure which one sounds the most true, but I'm definitely placing my bets on the former for now. There's truly no other words to best describe Teen Star Academy other than, and I mean this in a serious matter, that this is not only the worst movie I've seen, but also the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Anytime I look or even think about a piece of media that isn't all that well received from a grand majority of people online, like a movie or a cartoon, I go, yeah, I guess it's bad. But is it Teen Star Academy bad? Now, based on the many complaints I had with this dumpster fire of a film, you'd expect me to not recommend this to you and watch something better to cleanse your palate, when in actuality, that could not be far from the truth. That's right! I want anyone who's watched this review to go see Teen Star Academy for themselves while they can in order to truly experience how bad it is. Wise man once said, seeing is believing! Best of all, it's free to watch online, so you don't have to worry about giving anyone involved your precious pennies! If you have any on you, to say least. Pray to the gods up above that you'll be able to make out of the shit show fine and dandy. 'Cause I sure know I did.
Dreams come true!
Biopresto a mano ti regala 10.000 palloni mondiali, 1.000 splendide tute, 100 medaglie di Italia 90 e con TV sorrisi e canzoni vinci anche 100 TV Color. Biopresto a mano, bianco, colorato, vincente.